Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today I have a deck profile for you and a bit of a combo video about one of the upcoming decks in Cybernetic Access, I think it's called. It is involving Super Heavy Samurais. One of the most asked questions I've been getting so far between videos and my streaming is, what do I think of those cards? Well, it shouldn't come as a surprise when I say they have a lot of potential and they'll probably be good in the future. However, how good is the question? I'm going to show you guys what I think may be one of the best ways to use those cards, and it involves sprites. Hopefully over the next couple months, I will showcase a couple other ways to utilize these cards in interesting fashions, and explain a little more in depth about the options you have when playing these cards. So hopefully more to come. Now before I continue, please make sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below if you enjoyed this type of video and what else you'd like to see in the future. Also, please check out tsx1.com and use the code POTATO10 for 10% off on your sleeves. I've been appreciating nonstop, great quality sleeves, so definitely worth a look. All right, so let me get into it. So this is what the deck looks like right now. I guess in the combo, I will show you guys, or I'll explain what each of the cards do. The basic end field is pretty strong, to be honest. I'd say it's better than the current one, and you can do a lot with one card. And part of the reason I like mixing them with sprites is you can make any level 2 into sprint, and then you can convert into your sprite plays, and then bike is a level 2. So you do have access to level 2s pretty easily with the Super Heavy Samurai cards, and then if you don't have these, you can just play a normal sprite deck. Now my extra deck's not completely full because I'm not sure exactly where I want it to be, and you could play the Toad cards as well for heavier sprite hands that don't have the Super Heavy Samurai cards, but for now I left it at that. These are just utility cards, so don't pay too much attention to which ones I chose. However, do note the Super Heavy Samurais require you to have no spells or traps in the grave to use them, so you don't want to be starting with these, and you also don't want cards like Imperm or Evenly that you want to use ahead of time. There's a little bit of a constraint when deck building, but I do think it is worth it. Okay, so here we have Super Heavy Samurai Bike, one of the new cards from the next set. If you have no spells or traps in your graveyard, you can discard this card and add a Super Heavy Samurai to protect your hand. You can only use the effect once per turn. Once per turn, you can target a machine you control and increase level by 2. So, a couple things to know with this card. Of course, it's like a Rhoda, but a little more than that. It can be used as just a level 2 normal summon, and then make, any of your sprite cards. It's also a tuner, so you can use it to make... Oh, I can't see my extra deck there. You can use it to make your Arclight. If you play that, you can make Cupid Pitch, XL Synchron, and then Baron. And then because it's a level 2 tuner, you can Excel Synchron it, or Stardust Excel Dragon, bring it back and make Baron de Fleur. So very strong there. And then being able to manipulate the levels means you can make itself a 4 and then go into maybe a Gearkin X, or you can increase the other one, the other tuner, and then synchro that way. So you have a couple flexible ways to play the deck. You can end on several different end fields depending on what you see fit, but yeah. So right here though, we're just going to use it as the Rhoda, and we're going to get the main card in the deck, and that is Wakoshi. It's level 8 scale. If you have no spells or traps in the grave, you can place another Super Heavy Samurai, Pendulum in the other pen zone, and then it summons itself. Fantastic, right? And then it's a level 4 Dark Machine Tuner, which is fantastic typing. So obviously this is strong. It's a free body and then a scale. Its monster effect is, if you have no spells or traps in the graveyard, you can discard a monster special Super Heavy Samurai from your deck. However, you're locked into Super Heavy Samurai the rest of the turn. I don't use this effect. You could theoretically put something in there and a Super Heavy Samurai in the extra deck for when you get into weird situations. You can use this as a little final push. However, it's not recommendable, and for the sake of the combo, it's not relevant. So I'm going to leave it out of here. And also, if it's used as a synchro material and added to the extra deck face up, you can place it in the pen zone, which is nice because even though you wouldn't traditionally think that as a +1, you definitely can get value out of that. So, yep. And then you can use the scale effect later as well if you want to do it in a reverse order, although that's typically not the way I would do things. So yeah, we can scale it here, and then we can play its effect, so we can summon it and get another body. Now obviously, if it activates anything of use, then that's even more pluses, and thankfully it does. Another new card is a mouthful. The Super Heavy Samurai Monk Warrior Big Benkai. I'm going to struggle to pronounce these, especially because I speak too fast, and then it comes out like a mumble. If you control a Super Heavy Samurai monster, you can add a Super Heavy Samurai Soul from monster from next to your hand. There's a couple of those, but those are the ones that let them equip themselves from your hand to a monster and then give various effects. So it's not everything, and the cards we're going to add are the more of the garnets to the deck, so we can decide if it's worth playing them afterwards. But I'm going to show you the kind of like greedier combo first, and then we can talk about kind of maybe moderations you can do. But yeah, and then that's the scale effect, so this is even more pluses here, and it's a scale 1. So if we get this back in the pen zone, because we synchro with it, we can now pend 2 to 7, which is fantastic. Monster effect is, if you know spells or traps in the grave, you can send a Super Heavy Samurai Big Benkai, so another one that's old and bad. From the deck to the grave, special summon kind of like Magician Souls, and then if a synchro material, you can place it into the scale. Its levels aren't really useful for that, and we don't want to play the big guy, so this is not relevant. This is like probably the worst brick of the deck, because if you draw it, then it's kind of hard to use with this. However, yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'd run 2 of this. It's such a bad card. I guess you could discard it worst case. But anyways, yeah, you get to search off this now. And we get to search Super Heavy Samurai Soul Piercer. Something to actually note here is this doesn't affect the deck in a way that's ashable. So if you open up with just Wakashi, you can't ash it, which is really annoying. It means you always at least have the body, so if they ash this up and you have like the extender, doesn't matter. Or even if not, it's just a body and it's a tuner there, which is strong. Which then if you synchro with, you can then pend out. So, Super Heavy Samurai Soul Piercer. You can target a Super Heavy Samurai control and equip it from your hand, and it gives it piercing, whatever. And if this card is sent to the field to the grave, you can add a Super Heavy Samurai monster from your deck to your hand, and this one is any Super Heavy Samurai. It is also not once per turn, so we can use it to search multiple times. So we can equip it here just to get it into play. And now we are going to link off for the Super Heavy Samurai Link 1 monster. Scarecrow, sorry. So it's a Link 1, requires Super Heavy Samurai, and cannot be used as Link material. This is a little annoying, however, pretty easy to get around. You can Baron pop it, or you can play one of the other cards that clears it as well, which I'll show you in a second. You take no battle damage when you have no spells and traps, whatever. But then also, if you have no spells and traps in your grave, you can discard a card, anything, or sorry, discard a monster, but that's kind of in theme, and target Super Heavy Samurai in your grave and special summon and defense position to the zone this points do. I don't know if I actually did that. I may have put it somewhere else, but it's just me being fast forwarding and being lazy. So you get Soul Peacemaker here, which is another soul monster, so you clear it out off this. So target a Super Heavy Samurai, you can equip it hand to the field, that target. And while it's equipped, your opponent cannot attack monsters except equipped, which is nice because they can't do bad damage or whatever. It's not that nice. Honestly, that doesn't matter. The reason you play it, though, you choose a monster you control equipped with this card, and then special summon a Super Heavy Samurai from your deck. So now you can turn this unusable body into something meaningful, which is good. So now we discard to bring back. And yeah, I put it in the wrong zone. It has to go here, but it doesn't matter. It's going to get thrown away anyways. So I contribute it off to special from the deck, and I get this one out. Now remember, if we synchro with it, it'll go here, and then we have our scale set up. That's what I'm going to do. I can make a synchro 8, and then I'm going to get its effect. This will trigger. I'm just being lazy because I don't want it to put it in the extra deck and then summon it back out, and I'll put it here. And I'm going to summon Excel Synchro Stardust Dragon from Amazing Memories, which if it's synchro summon, special summon with level 2 or lower tuner from your graveyard. So bring back the bike. If you didn't open up with the bike, you could have used any of your Soul Piercer searches to search for bike, and then bike to search the card you would have searched in the combo anyways to bridge it all together. You just need to make sure you have it in the grave to bring back with Excel. It's going to trigger this effect to put in scale, and then this effect to search in a piece. So luckily the bricks end there. We don't have any more bad cards in our deck. We bring back the bike, and we're going to add another one of the Wakashi. So your third one. They're all out of your deck now. And now we can make Baron to 4. We have 8 and 2, nice and easy. You can make it 12 as well for whatever reason, but we don't want that. Baron is fantastic, and we haven't pendulum summoned yet either. So we're a great setup here. We're good for hand traps. Now we can pendulum summon out, and this is plenty for the sake of the standard combo with just the one card. Put the 2 Wakashis out here. Dark Machine tuners, very flexible, but in this case, GGX at any machine. So if you remember from the deck list, that means Cyberstein. The Cyberstein's gross because it's level 2, so we can convert it into your sprite cards afterwards. So pay 5,000, and you can summon whatever. You can play Dragoon, Exterio. Not really important, but yeah, you summon whatever you want, and now it's just standard sprite stuff here, so I'm going to kind of fast forward. We all know this. I leave up the sprint. That way you can use the sprint, detaching Gigantic for a bounce, and make Gin Buster. And then the double cross can act as follow-up because it can revive one of these if you need to for whatever reason. can act as an interrupt as well, though, kind of depending on what your hand needs. Or if you get like Hydrogen on Baron, you can revive the Baron. So it should be rather flexible. But yeah, you have the exterior here up, which is a Flood. And then you have Negate, Steal or Reborn, Bounce, Negate, which is pretty diverse for one card. And then ideally in a deck like this, you're backing up with hand traps. You also could have gone for Reproducus, the Toad line, if you had any sort of extenders, like you saw in the video, or you saw in the deck list. If you just drew Sprite Blue, you could have summoned the Toad instead and gone for that line, and then had even more. Could have had Toad, Baron, Double Cross, Exterio. Now, looking back at this deck list, let's talk about a couple things. So in the combo, I don't use Cupid Pitch or Below Savage or Catch Eve level 2. These are things that you can mess around with for yourself to see how useful they are. If you have any level 2 tuner and a level 2 non-tuner, like just a blue, make Cupid Pitch, you can make it level 6, and then summon a level 2. So if you go blue, Synchro, then Jet, or you summon the Jet first, but then you have the Jet on the field, you can make Excel, search a Catch Eve, then make Baron. And then Catch Eve can reduce level by 2 and summon it out, and then you can go into more plays afterwards with the Catch Eve. If you do that with the Super Heavy Samurai cards, you can Pendulum Summon this out and then lower its level by 2, and then you have 2 level 2s to make plays maybe in that way. You can also manipulate levels with Super Heavy Samurai Bike to then lower it with Catch Eve. And then Savage can be used if you don't want to go for like an exterior line. You can often do both of these plays if you have access to multiple tuners. And if you're doing that, there's also a possibility it is correct to use something like Ready Fusion to summon your Alvain, which is another level 2 tuner. However, that does mean putting spells in the deck, which is fine if you're doing them after you're using the Wakashi or the Wakaushi. It's just that obviously beforehand you don't want to have that be used. So mostly that means board breakers. You don't want your board breakers to be spells and traps, which can be a bit restricting, but not always a huge deal. And sometimes you can use these as board breakers, and then maybe that's what the rest of your extra deck is used for. Now, if you don't play Soulmate Peacemaker, you can still do a lot with this deck. You can either pick between the Exterio or the Baron, or if you have a good enough hand, you can still do both. It just depends if you have to use a normal summon. I'd argue that may be worth it. However, again, it's going to be deciding and refining the deck to the point where you can play the least amount of bricks possible and make the deck as consistent as possible. You're just enough to win the games you go first, and then play as little bricks. So finding that balance is going to be hard, and it's not something I can provide complete info on at the moment, because it depends very much on the format of how many negates you have to set up or how much gas you need. But right now, this is kind of up in the air. Soul Piercer is another weird one. I am playing 1 right now, but theoretically, if you normal summon it and make the link 1 and get the search for Wakashi, you can actually do a lot with it. However, into a field, it is not great, and it also uses your normal summon, so your plays are a little more limited. It forces you out of the line with Stein. What you'd have to do in those cases is use your last Soul Piercer search to search the level 2 Bike, and then pen summon out the Bike to go into Sprint, which is still fine, but it is like Baron plus standard combo, which is solid for just one card. Like, it's still better than a Deep Sea Devo was before. That being said, I don't love how it acts into fields, and there's normal summoning this is weaker to hand traps because you can't go wide by playing sprites afterwards. It's level 4, it's kind of icky. So I think for now I wouldn't play more than one Soul Piercer, but it's again something to consider, and I want you guys to be as knowledgeable as possible. That way you can make decisions on your own. I don't ever want to spoon feed you everything, but I want to give you the tools to make decisions for yourself. Anyways, this is going to be it for the first Super Heavy Samurai video. I hope you guys found it interesting and informative, and I will be hopefully making a bit more videos on the Super Heavy Samurai cards over the next month or two in preparation for the set release. If you have any specific ways to use these cards in mind you wanted me to showcase, let me know in the comments below, and maybe it's the next thing I'll showcase.